The stars rippled like water, and 300 warships appeared at the edge of the solar system. They were massive vessels, each one bigger than any city on Earth. Their metal hulls gleamed in the distant sunlight, covered with weapons that could turn planets into dust. Inside the largest ship, Fleet Commander Thelvax sat on his command throne and smiled. This would be conquest number 79 for the Vrelian Empire. In 300 years, his people had never lost a single battle. They had crushed 78 different alien civilizations, and today they would add humanity to that list. Thelvax looked at the blue planet on his display screen. Earth, a primitive world with primitive people. His scouts had told him that humans still used chemical rockets to reach their own moon. They had no shields, no energy weapons, no faster-than-light travel. This would be easy. He pressed a button and sent the standard message toward Earth. It was the same message the Vrelian Empire always sent. Surrender now, or be destroyed. Submit to the Empire, or watch your world burn. The humans would panic, then beg, then surrender. They always did. But the response that came back was not what he expected. The message was in perfect Vrelian language, clear and cold. We have been expecting you. Proceed to the coordinates we are sending, or be destroyed. Thelvax laughed. Destroyed? By these primitives? It was impossible. He ordered his fleet to ignore the message and move forward toward Earth. Far away on Earth, in a massive fortress that orbited above the planet, Admiral Day watched the alien fleet approach. He was a tall man with gray hair and eyes that had seen too many war simulations. Next to him stood Commander Yuna, a woman with sharp features and sharper intelligence. She controlled all of Earth's tactical operations. They are ignoring our warning, Yuna said quietly. Just as we predicted, Day replied. He turned to look at Dr. Hyun, a scientist who stood nearby. Hyun was the man who had spent 42 years studying the alien technology. Are all systems ready? Every weapon, every ship, every defense platform, Hyun confirmed. We are ready. Day nodded slowly. The world below him was calm. There were no riots in the streets, no panic, no desperate evacuations. People went to work, children went to school, life continued as normal. Because humanity had known this day would come for 42 years. It had started with a mistake. 4 decades ago, a Vrelian scout ship had wandered too close to a human mining colony at the edge of explored space. The humans had captured it. Instead of celebrating the discovery or announcing it to the world, Earth's leaders had made a different choice. They buried the ship in the desert, classified it at the highest level of secrecy, and put humanity's best minds to work. For 42 years, scientists and engineers studied every piece of that alien ship. They learned the Vrelian language. They cracked their computer systems. They discovered how their weapons worked, how their shields functioned, how their faster-than-light drives operated. And most importantly, they learned about the Vrelian Empire itself. The humans monitored Vrelian communications from across the galaxy. They watched the Empire conquer world after world. They studied every battle, every tactic, every strategy. They knew the Vrelians were coming, and they used every single day to prepare. While the Vrelian Empire thought Earth was a primitive, isolated world, humanity had been reading their messages, tracking their fleets, and building weapons specifically designed to kill Vrelian warships. Now those weapons were about to be tested. They have crossed the outer marker, Yuna reported. Should we engage? Not yet, Day said calmly. Let them come deeper into the system. Let them think they are safe. The Vrelian fleet moved past Neptune, then Uranus, then Saturn. Thelvax was pleased. There was no resistance, no defense fleet, nothing but empty space. The humans were even more primitive than he thought. Perhaps they did not even have a space military. He was about to learn how wrong he was. As the Vrelian fleet passed Jupiter's orbit, Day gave the order. Activate all defense platforms, launch the drones, signal the fleet. What happened next took only seconds, but it changed the course of galactic history. Objects that the Vrelians had assumed were old satellites suddenly came to life. They were not satellites. They were weapons platforms, hidden in plain sight around Earth's orbit. Advanced railguns built using reverse-engineered alien technology and improved by human engineering began to fire. The moon's surface seemed to explode as camouflaged batteries opened up. Solid metal projectiles, accelerated to almost the speed of light, tore through space toward the Vrelian fleet. The Vrelians had shields, but their shields were designed to stop energy weapons like lasers and plasma. They were not designed to stop solid metal moving at relativistic speeds. The kinetic projectiles punched through the shields like they were not even there. In the first 90 seconds of the battle, 18 Vrelian destroyers were blown apart. Explosions lit up the darkness of space. Thelvax stared at his screens in horror. How was this possible? Then the human fleet appeared. From behind Earth's moon, massive warships emerged. They were sleek and fast, built with technology that looked suspiciously similar to Vrelian designs, but somehow better. Leading them was Captain Tay, a veteran pilot who had trained for this moment his entire adult life. "All ships, engage the enemy," Tay commanded. His tactical officer, Lieutenant Nari, fed him targeting data as fast as the computers could process it. The human ships moved with incredible speed and precision. They used the gravity of Earth and the moon to slingshot themselves into attack positions that the Vrelians never anticipated. Their weapons, a mix of human and alien technology, hit hard and fast. The Vrelian plasma cannons fired back, but the human shields held. The Vrelians had designed those shields. The humans had improved them. "They are trying to form a defensive sphere," Una reported from the orbital fortress called Sentinel Prime. "They want to protect their command ship." "Do not let them organize," Dai ordered. "Lieutenant Han, deploy the drone swarms." From hidden bays all across Earth's defensive perimeter, thousands of small autonomous drones launched into space. Each one was no bigger than a fighter jet, but together they formed a cloud of death. The Vrelian point defense systems tried to shoot them down, but there were too many. The Vrelians had to choose: target the drones or target the big human warships. Every choice they made was wrong. Major Isul flew her experimental strike fighter through the chaos of battle. Behind her flew Lieutenant Sung and Captain Ara, both of them pilots who had spent years in simulation training. They knew Vrelian tactics better than the Vrelians did. They exploited every weakness, every gap in the enemy formation. By the time Thelvax understood what was happening, he had lost 63 ships. Nearly one-fifth of his fleet destroyed in less than an hour. For the first time in 300 years, a Vrelian fleet commander gave the order to retreat. The remaining ships turned and ran toward the outer system, their engines burning at maximum power. Thelvax broadcast an emergency signal calling for reinforcements, but humanity had already intercepted that message. They knew exactly where those reinforcements would arrive, and they had a surprise waiting for them too. On Earth, in the command center deep beneath the Mojave Desert, Dr. Hune allowed himself a small smile. 42 years of work had just paid off. The aliens had come to conquer Earth. They had no idea they had just walked into humanity's trap. The Vrelian fleet limped toward the outer solar system, damaged and desperate. Fleet Commander Thelvax sat in his command chair, unable to believe what had just happened. His fleet had conquered 78 worlds. They had destroyed armies and navies across the galaxy. And now these humans, these primitives, had torn through his forces like a knife through paper. He counted his losses again, hoping the numbers would change. They did not. 63 ships destroyed, hundreds more damaged, thousands of his crew dead, all in less than an hour of fighting. "Send the emergency signal again," he ordered his communications officer. "Tell High Command we need reinforcements immediately. Tell them the humans have advanced technology. Tell them we need help." The officer sent the message, and Thelvax waited. Help would come. The Empire always sent help. He just needed to survive until it arrived. What he did not know was that the humans had been listening to every word he said. Deep in space, hiding among the frozen rocks beyond Neptune, Captain Wu sat quietly in his command chair. His ship, the Silent Requiem, was a stealth frigate designed to be invisible. Its hull absorbed radar instead of reflecting it. Its engines ran cold, giving off almost no heat signature. To any sensor, it looked like just another piece of space debris. Wu had been waiting here for 3 weeks with his small crew. Navigator Hai sat at her station, watching the sensor displays. Weapons Officer Quan kept his fingers ready on the firing controls. They had all volunteered for this mission, knowing they might wait in the cold darkness for weeks or even months. Now their patience was about to pay off. Vrelian reinforcement fleet detected, Hai reported softly. 47 capital ships, 200 support vessels. They will arrive at Thelvax's position in approximately 30 minutes. Wu nodded. Right on schedule. Inform Admiral Day that the trap is ready. On Earth, in the orbital fortress Sentinel Prime, Admiral Day received the message. He looked at Commander Yuna. The reinforcements are coming. Are all our forces in position? Yuna checked her tactical displays. Small green dots represented human ships hidden throughout the outer solar system. They were camouflaged among asteroids, behind moons, tucked into the rings of Saturn. The Vrelians thought this was empty space. They had no idea it was full of human warships. Everyone is ready, Yuna confirmed, waiting for your order. Tell them to hold position, Day said. Let the enemy fleet arrive. Let them think they are safe. Then we strike. On Mars, Colonel Yoon commanded the Mars Defense Fleet from a base hidden beneath the red planet's surface. His ships were painted the same color as Martian dust, making them nearly invisible against the planet. He listened to the communications from Earth and smiled. The aliens were walking into another trap. The Vrelian reinforcement fleet arrived in a flash of light, their faster-than-light drives creating ripples in space as they emerged. The commander of this new fleet, a Vrelian officer named Kelnoth, immediately contacted Thelvax. We received your distress signal, Kelnoth said. What is your situation? The humans are more advanced than we thought, Thelvax replied, his voice tight with stress. They have technology equal to ours, maybe better. They destroyed a quarter of my fleet in the first engagement. Kelnoth could not hide his shock. A quarter of an invasion fleet destroyed? Impossible. No primitive species could do that. Thelvax must have made a terrible mistake. We will regroup and attack together, Kelnoth declared. With combined forces, we will crush these humans and… He never finished his sentence. From every direction at once, human ships appeared and opened fire. The trap had been sprung. Lieutenant Jin, commanding the missile cruiser Thunderbolt, fired the first salvo. Dozens of missiles streaked through space toward a Vrelian carrier. The carrier's point defense systems tried to shoot them down, but these were not normal missiles. They used erratic flight patterns that the Vrelian computers could not predict. Half the missiles got through. The carrier exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the dark space. All across the outer solar system, human forces attacked. Ships that had been hiding in Saturn's rings burst out like angry hornets. Vessels concealed behind Jupiter's moons accelerated to attack speed. Battle stations disguised as asteroids activated their weapons. The Vrelians tried to fight back, but they were fighting on humanity's territory now. Every human captain knew this solar system perfectly. They knew every asteroid, every moon, every gravitational current. They used the sun's gravity to accelerate into devastating attack runs. They hid behind planets and moons, appearing where the Vrelians did not expect them. Captain Tay, who had led the first battle near Earth, was now fighting near Jupiter. His ship, the Indomitable, used the giant planet's gravity to swing around at incredible speed, firing all weapons as it passed the enemy formation. Target their command ship, he ordered Nari, his tactical officer. Take out their leadership. Nari fed the coordinates into the weapons computer. Energy beams and kinetic projectiles hammered into the Vrelian flagship's shields. The shields flickered, weakened, and then collapsed. The next volley tore through the ship's hull. Kelnoth died without ever understanding how badly he had underestimated humanity. The battle raged for hours. The Vrelians were skilled warriors with powerful ships, but they were confused and disorganized. The humans fought with perfect coordination, their tactics rehearsed through decades of simulation training. Major Isul led her fighter squadron through the chaos, hunting enemy support ships. Her wingmates, Lieutenant Sung and Captain Ara, flew in perfect formation with her. They had trained together for so long that they could anticipate each other's moves without speaking. 3 enemy destroyers trying to retreat, Sung reported. Cut them off, Isol ordered. Do not let them escape to hyperspace. The three fighters accelerated, their engines pushing them to the edge of what human bodies could endure. They launched missiles from extreme range, forcing the destroyers to evade. The evasive maneuvers slowed the destroyers down just enough for a larger human warship to catch up and destroy them. On Sentinel Prime, Commander Yuna watched the battle unfold across multiple screens. Every fight, every ship, every explosion was tracked and recorded. She fed information to the fleet commanders, coordinating the massive battle across billions of kilometers of space. The enemy is trying to form up near Neptune, she reported to Admiral Day. They want to make a defensive position and wait for more help. They will not get more help, Day replied. Activate the interdiction field. Around the edge of the solar system, massive gravity generators hum to life. These machines, built from reverse-engineered Vrelian technology and improved by human scientists, created distortions in space. Any ship trying to enter hyperspace would find it impossible. The Vrelian fleet was trapped. Thelvax saw the readings on his sensors and felt true fear for the first time in his long military career. No retreat, no escape, no reinforcements coming to save them. The humans had turned the entire solar system into a prison. All ships, he broadcast to his fleet, fight to the last. Die with honor. But many of his captains did not want to die at all. They had families back home. They had children they would never see again. And they were starting to realize that this war was already lost. One by one, Vrelian ships began broadcasting surrender codes. Captain Wu, still aboard the Silent Requiem, watched a Vrelian destroyer power down its weapons and activate its distress beacon. That is the 12th ship to surrender, he reported. Accept their surrender and direct them to the holding area near Mars, Admiral Day ordered. But keep weapons locked on them. If they try anything, destroy them immediately. The battle continued, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. The Vrelian invasion force that had numbered over 500 ships was being systematically destroyed. Every attempt to break out failed. Every counterattack was repelled. The humans were merciless, efficient, and overwhelmingly prepared. As the 6th day of continuous battle came to an end, fewer than 80 Vrelian ships remained operational. They were surrounded, damaged, and out of options. Fleet Commander Thelvax finally accepted the truth. The Vrelian Empire's long string of victories was over. They had finally met an enemy they could not defeat. He opened a communication channel to the humans and requested terms of surrender. The communication request appeared on Admiral Day's screen. Fleet Commander Thelvax wanted to negotiate. Day looked at Commander Yuna, who nodded. It was time to show the Vrelians exactly what kind of species they had tried to conquer. Day accepted the communication. Thelvax's face appeared on the screen. The alien commander looked tired and beaten, his confidence completely gone. He expected the usual terms: tribute payments, technology sharing, perhaps limited occupation. This was how civilized species conducted war. What he heard instead shocked him to his core. You came to conquer us, Day said, his voice cold and hard. You thought we were prey. You were wrong. We are predators. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every single day. Ice ages, asteroid impacts, plagues, predators, and disasters. Earth threw everything at us, and we survived it all. Day leaned forward. We did not just survive. We thrived. We conquered our world, split the atom, built machines that could think, and reached into space. And we did all of it while fighting each other. Do you understand what that means? Humanity spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of war against ourselves. Thelvax said nothing. He was beginning to understand the terrible mistake his empire had made. Commander Yuna took over the communication. Your empire has conquered 78 civilizations. We watched every single one of those conquests. We studied your tactics, learned your strategies, and found every weakness in your military doctrine. When your scout ship wandered into our space 42 years ago, we did not panic. We did not run. We captured it, took it apart, and learned everything about you. She let that sink in before continuing. You thought we were primitive and isolated. You were half right. We were isolated. But while you were busy conquering other species, we were watching you, learning from you, preparing for you. Every day for 42 years, we built weapons designed specifically to kill Vrelian warships. Admiral Day spoke again. Here are your options. Surrender completely and immediately. Your crews will be treated according to our prisoner of war conventions. They will be fed, housed, and given medical care. When this war is over, they may return home. Or you can refuse and be destroyed. You have 1 hour to decide. The transmission ended. Thelvax looked around his damaged bridge. Many of his officers were wounded. The ship's systems were failing. Through the windows, he could see the wreckage of hundreds of Vrelian vessels floating in space. This was not just a defeat. This was annihilation. But his pride would not let him surrender without one final attempt. All remaining ships, he broadcast. We will conduct one last attack. A direct assault on Earth itself. We may die, but we will take their homeworld with us. It was suicide, but it was better than the shame of surrender. At least, that is what Thelvax told himself as he gave the order to advance. The remaining Vrelian ships, fewer than 80 now, formed up and accelerated toward Earth. Their weapons powered up. Their damaged shields strengthened as much as possible. They would ram the planet if they had to. Captain Tay, commanding the Indomitable, saw them coming. They are making a suicide run, he reported to Admiral Day. Should we intercept? Intercept and destroy, Day ordered coldly. Show no mercy to those who will not surrender. Tay's fleet moved to block the Vrelians. Captain Ara's fighter wings launched from carriers, filling space with small, fast ships. The human forces did not even bother with fancy tactics this time. They simply overwhelmed the enemy with superior numbers and firepower. Major Isul led her squadron straight into the Vrelian formation. Her fighters dodged plasma fire and launched missiles at point-blank range. Every shot counted. Every missile found a target. The Vrelian suicide charge never came close to Earth. Every single ship was intercepted and destroyed within Jupiter's orbit. Thelvax's flagship exploded in a bright flash, and the fleet commander died still believing his empire was invincible. When the last Vrelian ship was destroyed or captured, Admiral Day called a meeting of Earth's War Council. They gathered in Sentinel Prime, looking out at the debris field that now filled the solar system. Thousands of alien ships had come to conquer Earth. Fewer than 40 had survived to surrender. Dr. Hune spoke first. We need to discuss what comes next. The Vrelian Empire spans 200 star systems. This was just one conquest fleet. When they realize this fleet is not coming back, they will send more. Colonel Yoon from Mars agreed. We cannot just sit here and wait for the next invasion. We need to take the fight to them. That is exactly what I am proposing, Admiral Day said. He pulled up a star map showing Vrelian space. We have prisoners now. We have their ships. We have their technology. And we have something they never expected us to have. Knowledge. We know where their military bases are, where their shipyards are, where their communication relays are. We can strike at their infrastructure before they can organize another invasion. Commander Yuna looked concerned. Are we talking about going to war with an entire empire? That is a huge commitment. We are already at war, Day replied. They declared war when they sent a fleet to conquer our home. The only question is whether we fight defensively or offensively. I say we go on the offensive. The council voted. The decision was unanimous. Earth would not wait for the next attack. Earth would strike first. Major Isul volunteered for the most dangerous mission. Let me take one of the captured Vrelian ships deep into their territory. I can gather intelligence, find out their plans, maybe even sabotage their war effort from within. It was a suicide mission. Everyone in the room knew it. But Isul had that look in her eyes that said she was going regardless of what anyone said. Approved, Day said after a long moment. But you do not go alone. Take a full team. Scientists, engineers, intelligence officers, and take Lieutenant Sung with you. You two work well together. While the intelligence mission was being prepared, Earth shifted to a war economy. Factories that once made cars now made weapons. Shipyards that built cargo vessels now built warships. The asteroid belt became a massive mining operation, pulling out metals and materials to feed the war machine. Captain Wu was put in charge of organizing patrol routes throughout the solar system. His stealth frigates would be the early warning system if more Vrelian ships approached. On Mars, Colonel Yoon oversaw the construction of massive foundries that could build weapons and ship components faster than anywhere on Earth. The Red Planet was becoming an arsenal. Deep in the research facilities on Earth, Dr. Yu Yun and his team worked on the next generation of weapons. They had learned much from the battle, and they were already designing improvements. Better shields, faster ships, more powerful weapons. But the most important work was happening in the communication centers. Earth was sending out a message to the Vrelian Empire using the captured communication systems. The message was simple and direct. It was transmitted in perfect Vrelian language, sent to every major Vrelian military base and government center. You sent a fleet to conquer Earth. All 512 ships are destroyed or captured. None will return. This is your only warning. Leave humanity alone, or we will show you what it means to wake a sleeping predator. We do not seek war, but if you bring war to us again, we will bring it to your worlds. Choose wisely. The message was sent, and then humanity waited to see how the Empire would respond. What they did not expect was the response that came from other species. The Vrelian Empire had conquered 78 civilizations over 300 years. Many of those species were still alive, still enslaved, still dreaming of freedom. When word spread that an unknown species called humanity had destroyed an entire Vrelian invasion fleet, those enslaved people began to hope. And hope, as the Vrelians were about to learn, was the most dangerous weapon of all. 3 weeks after the battle, the first response arrived. It did not come from the Vrelian Empire. It came from a species called the Keltani, who had been fighting the Vrelians for 50 years and losing badly. The message appeared on every communication channel Earth was monitoring. It was audio only, and the voice spoke in broken English that had clearly been learned from intercepted human broadcasts. People of Earth, we are the Kelthani Union. We have heard what you did to the Vrelian invasion fleet. For 50 years, we have fought alone against the Empire. We are losing. Our worlds are falling one by one. But if the stories are true, if you truly destroyed 500 Vrelian ships, then perhaps there is hope. We request alliance. We request help. Please respond. Admiral Day brought the message to the War Council. The debate was intense. Some argued that Earth should focus only on defending itself. Others said that helping the Kelthani was the smart strategic move. If the Vrelian Empire was busy fighting on multiple fronts, they could not focus all their power on Earth. Dr. Hyun made the argument that convinced everyone. The Vrelians will come for us again eventually. When they do, would we rather face them alone or with allies who know their tactics and territory? The Keltani have been fighting this war for decades. They have knowledge we need. The vote was close, but the decision was made. Earth would reach out to the Keltani Union and offer an alliance. Captain Wu was chosen to lead the first diplomatic mission. His stealth frigate, the Silent Requiem, would carry not just diplomats but also technical advisors and military observers. The mission was dangerous. They would have to travel through territory controlled by the Vrelian Empire to reach Kelthani space. If you run into trouble, run, Admiral Day told Wu before he left. Do not engage unless you have no choice. We need you to reach the Kelthani and bring back information about what is happening in that part of the galaxy. Wu saluted and departed. His ship slipped away from Earth's orbit, engaged its faster-than-light drive, and disappeared into the stars. While Wu was traveling, Major Isul and Lieutenant Sung were preparing for their own mission. They had selected a captured Vrelian warship that was relatively undamaged. Human engineers had spent weeks studying the vessel, learning how every system worked. Now Isol's team would take it deep into enemy territory. The plan was bold and dangerous. They would pose as a damaged Vrelian ship returning from the invasion of Earth. They would dock at Vrelian stations, gather intelligence, and sabotage what they could. If they were discovered, they would be killed immediately. Are you sure about this? Admiral Day asked Isol during the final briefing. Completely sure, Isol replied with a confident smile. We trained for 42 years to fight these aliens. Now we get to spy on them too. This is going to be interesting. Day did not share her enthusiasm, but he approved the mission. 2 weeks later, Isol's captured Vrelian ship jumped into hyperspace and headed for the heart of the Empire. Back on Earth, humanity was transforming. Every nation had united under a single goal: protect Earth and make sure no alien empire ever threatened them again. The International Space Station was expanded into a massive military headquarters. The moon's surface was covered with weapon batteries and ship construction facilities. Mars was becoming a fortress world. Commander Yuna oversaw the construction of Earth's new fleet. Using the captured Vrelian ships as templates, human engineers built improved versions. Faster engines, stronger shields, more powerful weapons. Within 3 months of the battle, Earth had launched 50 new warships. But the most significant change was happening in how humans saw themselves. For the first time in history, every person on Earth identified primarily as human rather than by their nation or culture. The alien invasion had done what centuries of philosophy and politics could not. It had united humanity. Lieutenant Han, now promoted to captain, was given command of the diplomatic vessel Horizon. His mission was different from Wu's. He would search for other alien species that might want to join a coalition against the Vrelian Empire. "The enemy of my enemy is my friend," Admiral Day told Han. "Find out who else the Vrelians have hurt. Find out who else wants revenge. Bring them together." Han departed with a full crew of diplomats, translators, and scientists. His ship carried data about the battle, showing what humanity had accomplished. It was proof that the Vrelian Empire could be beaten. 4 weeks after the battle, Major Isol sent her first report back to Earth. She had successfully entered Vrelian territory and docked at a border station for repairs. What she discovered was both encouraging and terrifying. "The Empire is in chaos," her report stated. "Word of the failed invasion has spread everywhere. The Vrelian military is divided. Some commanders want to launch a massive revenge attack on Earth immediately. Others want to wait and gather more intelligence. Some are even questioning whether conquering Earth is worth the cost." The report continued with even more interesting information. "The conquered species are starting to rebel. There have been uprisings on at least 12 worlds that we know of. The Vrelians are pulling ships from the frontier to deal with internal security problems. Their empire is starting to crack." This was the opening humanity needed. Admiral Day called another War Council meeting. "The Empire is weakening. This is our chance to strike, not at Earth, but at their infrastructure. If we can free some of the conquered worlds, we create allies and weaken the Vrelians at the same time." Captain Tay was given command of the first Liberation Fleet. 50 human warships, loaded with weapons and carrying teams of soldiers, engineers, and medical personnel. Their target was a prison world called Kelmar 5, where the Vrelians kept captives from multiple conquered species. The mission launched with great ceremony. People across Earth watched as the fleet departed, knowing this was the moment humanity stopped being defenders and became liberators. The journey to Kelmar 5 took 2 weeks. During that time, Captain Tay drilled his fleet relentlessly. They practiced attack formations, boarding actions, and rescue operations. When they finally arrived at the prison world, they were ready. The Vrelian garrison at Kelmar 5 numbered only 20 ships. They were not expecting an attack. They definitely were not expecting an attack by humans, who were supposed to be on the other side of the galaxy. The battle lasted less than an hour. Human ships dropped out of hyperspace in perfect formation and opened fire immediately. The Vrelian defenders tried to respond, but they were completely outmatched. Captain Ara's fighter squadrons disabled the orbital defense platforms. Lieutenant Nari coordinated the bombardment that took out the ground-based weapons. When the shooting stopped, human soldiers landed on Kelmar 5 and began freeing the prisoners. There were thousands of them: scientists, engineers, teachers, farmers, and soldiers from a dozen different species. Some had been imprisoned for decades. Many of the freed prisoners were initially terrified of the humans, thinking they were just new conquerors. But when they realized the humans had come to free them, not enslave them, something remarkable happened. They began to cheer. Then they began to cry. And then they began to ask if they could join the fight against the Vrelian Empire. Captain Tay sent a message back to Earth. "Mission successful. Kelmar 5 is liberated. No human casualties. Minimal damage to infrastructure. and we have over 3,000 volunteers who want to fight alongside us. On Earth, Admiral Day read the message and smiled. The war was just beginning, but for the first time, humanity was not fighting alone. 6 months had passed since the Vrelian invasion fleet arrived at Earth. In that short time, the galaxy had changed forever. Captain Wu returned from his diplomatic mission to the Kelthani Union with news that shocked everyone. The Kelthani were not just willing to ally with humanity, they were desperate for it. 50 years of war had left them on the edge of complete defeat. When Wu showed them footage of the battle at Earth, many Kelthani leaders wept openly. They thought they were going to die fighting alone, Wu reported to Admiral Day. Now they know they have allies. Strong allies. They want to coordinate attacks with us. They have agreed to share all their intelligence about Vrelian military positions. The alliance was formalized quickly. Within weeks, human advisors were working with Kelthani military commanders. Human engineers were helping repair Kelthani ships, and human weapons were being installed on Kelthani defense stations. But the biggest change came from an unexpected source. Major Isul, still deep in Vrelian territory with her spy mission, discovered something that would end the war faster than any battle. The Vrelian Empire was collapsing from within. Her report sent shockwaves through Earth's command structure. The Empire is breaking apart. Conquered species are rebelling on 40 different worlds. The Vrelian military is spread too thin to respond. Some Vrelian commanders are even refusing orders, saying they will not waste more lives fighting humans. The High Command is paralyzed by internal arguments. They cannot agree on what to do next. Admiral Day called an emergency meeting with all of Earth's top military and political leaders. Commander Yuna presented the intelligence data. Dr. Yun analyzed the technical implications. Colonel Yun discussed military options. "We have an opportunity here," Day said. "The Vrelian Empire built itself on fear and overwhelming force. We shattered that image when we destroyed their invasion fleet. Now the conquered species see that the Empire can be beaten. They are rising up. If we help those rebellions succeed, the Empire will fall apart completely." The plan was ambitious. Earth would send liberation fleets to multiple worlds at once. They would free prisoners, help local rebels, and destroy Vrelian military infrastructure. At the same time, they would offer the Vrelian Empire one final chance to surrender. Captain Tay led the largest liberation fleet. 70 human warships plus 50 Kelthani vessels attacked a major Vrelian military base. The battle was fierce but short. The combination of human technology and Kelthani knowledge of Vrelian tactics proved devastating. The base fell in less than 2 days. Lieutenant Han, commanding the diplomatic vessel Horizon, made contact with 5 different alien species that had been conquered by the Vrelians. All 5 agreed to join what was now being called the Free Galaxy Coalition. The alliance was growing rapidly. Captain Era led fighter squadrons in dozens of small raids across Vrelian territory. Her teams would appear without warning, destroy Vrelian communication relays and supply depots, then disappear before reinforcements could arrive. The Vrelians could not defend everything at once. On Earth, the transformation continued. The orbital space around the planet was now filled with massive shipyards working around the clock. Every week, new warships launched. Mars had become the industrial heart of human military production, with factories buried beneath the surface churning out weapons and equipment. Lieutenant Sung, working with Major Isel on the spy mission, managed to hack into Vrelian military communications. What they discovered was even more encouraging. The Vrelian High Command was considering peace negotiations. The message came 3 weeks later. Official, formal, and desperate. The Vrelian Empire requested a ceasefire and peace talks. Admiral Day consulted with Earth's political leaders, with the Kelthani Union, and with representatives from the other species in the Free Galaxy Coalition. Everyone agreed on the terms they would demand. The peace conference was held on a neutral space station at the edge of Vrelian territory. Admiral Day led the human delegation. Commander Yuna came as military advisor. Dr. Hyun represented the scientific community. They were joined by Kelthani leaders and representatives from the other allied species. The Vrelian delegation arrived looking defeated. 300 years of conquest had ended in just 6 months of fighting against humanity and its allies. The terms were harsh, but fair. The Vrelian Empire would completely disarm its military. They could keep defense forces, but their conquest fleets would be disbanded. They would pay reparations to the species they had conquered. Most importantly, they would agree to the formation of a galactic council where all species had equal representation. The Vrelians had no choice but to accept. Their empire was crumbling, their military was exhausted, and their economy was collapsing. They signed the treaty, but the story did not end there. Commander Yuna, promoted to admiral for her role in the war, was chosen as Earth's representative to the new Galactic Council. She would work alongside representatives from dozens of other species to build a new order in the galaxy. Her first speech to the Council became famous across hundreds of worlds. Earth stood alone when the Vrelians came. We did not ask for help because we had no one to ask. We fought because we had no choice. But we won because we were prepared, because we were patient, and because we never gave up. She continued, her words broadcast to billions of beings across the galaxy. We extend our friendship to all peaceful species. Trade with us. Learn from us. Grow with us. Humanity believes that the galaxy is better when we work together. But to those who would threaten any member of this council, know this. Earth does not seek war. We hate war. But we will never be unprepared for it again. The speech was met with what could only be described as a standing ovation from dozens of different species, each showing respect in their own cultural way. In the months that followed, humanity spread across the stars, not as conquerors, but as explorers and traders. Captain Ara led the first expedition to unexplored space beyond Vrelian territory. Lieutenant Sung established Earth's first colony on a world 200 light-years away. Dr. Hyun opened research institutions on Mars and the Moon, dedicated to sharing technology with allied species. Captain Tae became the commander of the Free Galaxy Coalition's military forces, ensuring that no empire would ever rise again to threaten peaceful species. Major Isel, finally returning from her spy mission, was greeted as a hero. The intelligence she had gathered had been crucial to understanding the Vrelian Empire's weaknesses. On Earth, in the quiet moments between the celebrations and the speeches, Admiral Day stood in his office in Sentinel Prime, looking up at the stars through the massive windows. The world his ancestors had known was gone, replaced by something larger and more complex. His assistant, a young officer named June, entered with the latest reports. Sir, we just received confirmation. The last Vrelian occupation force has withdrawn from Keltani space. The war is truly over. Day nodded slowly. The war is over, but our work is just beginning. We have a galaxy to help rebuild. June smiled. Do you think we are ready for that, sir? Day thought about everything that had happened, how humanity had prepared for 42 years, how they had fought and won against impossible odds, how they had turned enemies into allies and built a coalition from the ruins of an empire. We survived ice ages and plagues, he said quietly. We built civilizations and split the atom. We reached the stars and defeated an empire that had conquered 78 worlds. Yes, Lieutenant, I think we are ready. Outside the windows, ships bearing Earth's emblem moved through space. Blue planets surrounded by stars, a symbol of hope and strength. Humanity had earned its place among the stars not through conquest, but through courage, preparation, and the will to defend what they loved. The Vrelian Empire had dispatched a fleet to conquer Earth, expecting easy victory. They thought humanity was waiting to surrender. They never imagined humanity was waiting to win. And in winning, humanity had changed the galaxy forever.